Hi, I'm Jesus and I'm going to present about slavery. The first thing you have to know about slavery is what is slavery. And slavery is a legal or economic system under which people are treated as property. So this may be confused sometimes because people sometimes say that they are slaves because they work a lot and something like that, but that is not slave. That is not being a slave. Being a slave is being forced to work or being forced to do something without your approval, and if you don't do it, you will get any physical abuse or something like that. Usually, being a slave involves being in bad situation, being treated bad physically and psychologically. Well, the first um, statement of slavery that have been registered is is in the Bible, in the Genesis chapter 9, when Noah cursed his son Ham to serve his brothers forever. And well, that's the first statement of slavery that is known. Then the Romans developed the slavery systematically. That means that when they conquer, because they conquer a lot, they have to build a lot of stuff and a lot of buildings and that. So they couldn't do that alone. So they need work. They need people to do that work. So that people, they get them from the territory that they conquered. Then a big question that I've been thinking about slavery is why African people is the more slave race right now and in the past. And that's why, because in 1442, Romans they traveled to Africa and they saw two types of race. One was the West Indian, but they were very weak and they were very getting extinct because of the climate. But then they saw the Africans, and the Africans, they have a very strength. They were they were better than physically. They were better than the West Indians. So that helped the Romans to decide that they were the perfect ones to do the work part. And then the Englishmen saw the slavery like a way to profit and gain money. So they have started to export massive ships with slaves and getting a profit of it, or get or having slaves in their companies to make the hard work, and that made them very efficient. Then there is this psychological effect. Well, there are a lot of psychological effects of slavery, but one is the Stockholm syndrome, and that is an experiment that they made in Stockholm. That two men robbed a bank and they get 3 prisoners. But then when these prisoners were set free, they were appreciated. They present appreciation for the man who stole the bank and get them prison, and that's because they got the Stockholm syndrome, and that the Stockholm syndrome is when someone is get back isolated from the society, and you have them like prisoners, but sometimes you like be gentle to them, give them water and things like that, and that person starts thinking that you're a good person and you're trying to help them. So that's a psychological effect that cause you to think that maybe the person that keep you in prison is a good person and that wants good things for you, but that's not true. And that affects a lot because Africans can say, well, this person that wants me to work maybe wants me to be a better person. So that's what we have reason. And the other thing is modern slavery. Well, we can think that slavery is is not longer active in our days, but that's not true. As we can see here, there are tens of millions of people today, and in numbers there are 21 to 36 million people in slavery right now. And we can see that because there are a lot of companies and there are a lot of global interests that need to people to do hard work, and sometimes these people are treated like slaves, or sometimes also in the traffic of people when you when you have an amount of girls yes, an amount of girls and you want them to prostitute, that's slave. That's been having a slave activity. So we can see that the slavery is never going to stop because of all the demand that we have today. So that's all.